I found this really great bread recipe, but it's really hot and I don't want to turn on the oven, so I wanted to experiment with some other ways of making it. So you want to take 1 1/4 cups of water and heat it up. I heated it in the microwave. Then I've got this little temperature checker. When it's between 110 and 105 degrees, then it's ready for me to add my yeast. I'm adding 2 teaspoons. So I'm also going to add 2 teaspoons of honey. The recipe I saw called for maple syrup, but it should be just the same, and this is raw honey. So while my yeast is rising, now I am going to do 1 cup of almond flour and 1 cup of arrowroot flour. This is kind of a low glycemic index flour. And also 1/3 a cup of coconut flour. We're just going to add this all together. And don't forget to add a teaspoon of salt. I like the pink Himalayan salt. And then we can just whisk that all together. Just thoroughly combine all the dry ingredients. So you can see my yeast is now foamy, bubbly on top. This tells me that my yeast was very active, and that's what I want. And now you just want to combine your wet and dry ingredients all together. Mix it in. Actually, I did this out of order. I should have added this to my yeast before I started mixing it, but this is psyllium powder. Psyllium powder is great fiber. You're only going to find something like this in a health food store, so don't look in a grocery store to find it. So that was 2 tablespoons of the psyllium powder, and now I'm going to do ground chia seeds, 1 1/2 tablespoons. So I'm going to do 1 tablespoon into the coffee grinder, and then we're just going to mix that up, and that'll equal about 1 1/2 tablespoons. Now I'm going to mix it. Like I said, I should have added the chia seeds and the psyllium to the yeast before I added it to the dry. Now I'm just going to kind of knead it with my hands. Get it all mixed really well, knead for at least a minute. It's time to let it rest and rise, so I've got this washcloth or dish towel that I've wet. I'm going to nuke this in the microwave, get it hot. Now I'm just going to take the hot towel, cover it, and now I'll leave this in the microwave to just kind of sit and grow. Just to make sure you know, the microwave is not on, it is off. It's just a draft-free place, and it's going to retain the heat. Now that it has risen, I'm going to roll it out on some gluten-free flour. This is a gluten-free flour mix that I made. I made this mix with 1 package of white rice flour, brown rice flour, sorghum flour, potato starch, tapioca starch, and half of teff. So I'm going to take my dough, mash it up together, just kind of play with it in the flour. You can kind of make a log with it. And make a nice neat little log. Now I'm going to just go ahead and take and cut little sections so that we can roll it out separately. Now I'm just going to take one, get it all in the flour, and I'm just going to roll it out a little bit. If you want, you can add some herbs to it. Rosemary, basil, sage, thyme. Okay, now I'm going to put them on a flat plate non-stick griddle, and I've got my little temperature gauge so I can see how my temperature's coming. I'm just going to put some of these on my flat plate griddle, and we'll just kind of wait. You can see how there's bubbles that have started to form, rise. I'm going to flip them over. Some nice flatbreads. That was one way. Here's another way. More like an Indian fry bread. This method may not be quite as healthy, but it's still delicious, and I'm doing this in coconut oil. I'm going to attempt to flip it over. Nice golden color. Again, this would be so good with different herbs in it too. Okay, so there you have it. 2 different versions of healthy bread. This is so good. And this is the flatbread. It doesn't really need to be fried. Both are really good though.